A good book opens up a world of discovery, adventure, magic, and ideas. Books can be transformative, changing our perspective and mindsets. They foster the imagination and expand your knowledge. Pasadena Public Library's annual One City, One Story program recognizes the power of a good book. For the past 22 years, this community reading program has brought books and people together to encourage conversation on critical issues. The results have sparked lively community discussions and open dialogue on the significant issues raised by the selected book. This coming year, 2025, marks the 23rd anniversary of One City, One Story. Before sharing our list of nominees, I would like to thank our wonderful community volunteer members who spent months reading and discussing a myriad of books to come up with these finalists, all thought-provoking nominees. The 2025 One City, One Story Selection Committee: Helen Botts, Katie Brandon, Sharon Culkin, Rosemary Choate, Carrie Custer, Bob Donaldson, Brooke Larson-Garlock, Philip Hain, Jill Hunting, Sandra Irwin, Kishwar Jaffer, Sally Kuser, Tina Lowenthal, Tim McDonald, Cheryl Nokon, Christine Reeder, Maggie Reyes Rother, Deborah K. Sanchez, Mary Schuler, and the 2025 Pasadena One City, One Story nominees are The Little Liar by Mitch Albom. This powerful novel of hope and forgiveness moves from a coastal Greek city during World War II to America in the golden age of Hollywood, as the intertwined lives of three young survivors are forever changed by the perils of deception and the grace of redemption. The Ministry of Time by Collyanne Bradley. A civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams working in a recently established government ministry gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible, for the body and for the fabric of space-time. The House of Doors by Tan Tuan Eng. Leslie Hamlin and her husband Robert, a lawyer and war veteran, are living at Cassowary House on the Straits settlement of Penang. When Willie Somerset Maugham, a famed writer and old friend of Robert's, arrives for an extended visit with his secretary Gerald, the pair threatens a rift that could alter more lives than one. Longlisted for the Booker Prize. James by Percival Everett. When the enslaved Jim overhears that he is about to be sold and separated from his wife and daughter forever, he hides on nearby Jackson Island until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck Finn has faked his own death to escape his violent father. While many elements of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn remain in place, Jim's agency, intelligence, and compassion are shown in a radically new light. 2024 National Book Award winner, 2024 Kirkus Prize winner for fiction, shortlisted for the Booker Prize. The Women by Kristen Hanna. Women can be heroes. When nursing student Frances Frankie McGrath hears these words, it is a revelation. Raised in idyllic Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. The Last Equation of Isaac Severy, a novel in clues by Nova Jacobs. Hazel Severy, the owner of a struggling Seattle bookstore, receives a letter from her adoptive grandfather, mathematician Isaac Severy, days after he dies in a suspected suicide. In his puzzling letter, Isaac alludes to a secretive organization that is after his final bombshell equation, and he charges Hazel with safely delivering it to a trusted colleague. But first, she must find where the equation is hidden. Edgar Award nominee for Best First Novel by an American Author. Time's Mouth by Eden Lupucki. Ursa possesses a very special gift. She can travel through memory and revisit her past. After she flees her hometown for the counterculture glory of 1950s California, the intoxicating potential of her unique ability eventually draws a group of women into her orbit and into a ramshackle Victorian mansion in the woods outside Santa Cruz. Yet Ursa's powers come with a cost. Longlisted for the Joyce Carol Oates Prize. The Chinese Groove by Catherine Ma. 18-year-old Shelley, born into a much-despised branch of the Chung family, and living in the shadow of his widowed father's grief, dreams of bigger things. Buoyed by an exuberant heart and his cousin Deng's tall tales, Shelley heads to San Francisco to claim his destiny, confident in the awesome powers of the Chinese groove, a belief in the unspoken bonds between countrymen that transcend time and borders. winner of the Silver Medal for the California Book Award for Fiction. A Paragon by Colin McCann. Bassam Aramin is Palestinian. Rami Elchanan is Israeli. Conflict colors every aspect of their lives. As first Rami's daughter becomes the victim of suicide bombers, and a decade later, Bassam's daughter is killed by a rubber bullet. Raised to hate one another, they recognize the loss that connects them. Together they use their grief as a weapon for peace, and with one small act start to permeate what has for generations seemed like an impermeable conflict. Finalist for the Dublin Literary Award. Longlisted for the Booker Prize. Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. Starr is brought to the Fort Marion prison and subjected to Richard Henry Pratt, an evangelical prison guard and founder of the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, dedicated to eradicating Native history, culture, and identity. A generation later, Starr's son, Charles, is brutalized by the same man. Charles clings to moments he shares with fellow student Opal Viola, as they envision a future away from the violence that follows their bloodlines. Named a Best Book of 2024 by the New York Times. The Ministry for the Future by Kim Stanley Robinson. Established in 2025, the purpose of the new organization was simple: to advocate for the world's future generations and to protect all living creatures, present and future. Told entirely through fictional eyewitness accounts, The Ministry for the Future is a masterpiece of the imagination, the story of how climate change will affect all of us over the decades to come. California Bear by Dwayne Swerzinski. Follow four unlikely vigilantes who pit themselves against the villain behind California's coldest case when they decide to take justice into their own hands. The killer who has been exonerated and freed from prison, the girl detective, the genealogist, and the bear, a prolific serial killer who disappeared 40 years ago, only now emerging from hibernation. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. After Tova Sullivan's husband died, she began working at the Sowell Bay Aquarium. Keeping busy has helped her cope since her 18-year-old son Eric mysteriously vanished on a boat in Puget Sound over 30 years ago. Tova becomes acquainted with curmudgeonly Marcellus, a giant Pacific octopus who knows more than anyone can imagine but wouldn't dream of lifting one of his 8 arms for his human captors, until he forms a remarkable friendship with Tova. Skin and Bones by Renee Watson. At 40, Lena Baker is at a steady and stable moment in life. Between wine nights with her 2 best friends and her wedding just weeks away, she's happy in love and in friendship until a confession on her wedding day shifts her world. Unmoored and grieving a major loss, Lena questions everything she's learned about dating, friendship, and motherhood. Finalist for the Westport Prize. Master, Slave, Husband, Wife. An Epic Journey from Slavery to Freedom by Ilyan Wu. In 1848, a young enslaved married couple, Ellen and William Craft, achieved one of the boldest feats of self-emancipation in American history. Posing as master and slave, they made their escape together across more than 1,000 miles, riding out in the open on steamboats, carriages, and trains that took them from bondage in Georgia to the free states of the North. 2024 Pulitzer Prize winner for biography. Solito, a memoir by Javier Zamora, written in English and Spanish. Javier Zamora documents his 3,000-mile journey from El Salvador across the U.S. border to reunite with his mother and a father he barely remembers. He cannot foresee the perilous boat trips, relentless desert treks, pointed guns, arrests, and deceptions that await him. Nor can he know that 2 weeks will expand into 2 life-altering months alongside fellow migrants who will come to encircle him like an unexpected family. Finalist for the Penn John Galbraith Award for Nonfiction, longlisted for the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence. To learn more about these selections, view their full descriptions in the November-December issue of the library's newsletter, Off the Shelf. And the 2025 One City, One Story selection is James by Percival Everett. Percival Everett is a distinguished professor of English at USC. His most recent books include Dr. No, finalist for the NBCC Award for Fiction and winner of the Penn Gene Stein Book Award, The Trees, finalist for the Booker Prize and the Penn Faulkner Award for Fiction, Telephone, finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, So Much Blue, Erasure, and I Am Not Sidney Poitier. He has received the NBCC Ivan Sandroff Life Achievement Award and the Wyndham Campbell Prize from Yale University. American Fiction, The feature film based on his novel Erasure was released in 2023 and was awarded the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. He lives in Los Angeles with his wife, the writer Danzy Senna, and their children.
Well, my name is Percival Everett. I'm author of the novel James, which came out in 2024, earlier this year. I'm really excited and honored to be a part of the One City, One Story program that is offered by the Public Library of Pasadena. It's a great library. I live in South Pasadena, and I'm sitting in my back house right now, and I'm sorry that it's such a mess. This is where I work, so this novel happened not far from us. I'm excited because this novel is my conversation with Mark Twain. It's not a corrective in any way, though it's a retelling of the novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So I hope we can have some fun talking about it. Thank you.
I would like to thank you for joining us for our One City, One Story reveal. We look forward to your joining us in person on Saturday, March 15th, 2025 at 2 p.m. at the Pasadena Presbyterian Church at 585 East Colorado Boulevard.